Welcome to Alpha Bites, where we serve up bite-sized insights to help you grow your business and your bank account. Our host, Alex Zinni, CEO of Alpha Key Digital, dives into the latest marketing trends, proven strategies, and actionable tips to scale your online presence. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, Alpha Bites delivers the keys to unlocking your success. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alex Zinni, your host of Alpha Bites, where I sit down with inspiring business leaders and entrepreneurs to dive into what drives them and to uncover the secrets behind their success. But first, this episode is brought to you by Alpha Key Digital, where we specialize in delivering measurable digital marketing results. One of our latest success stories, and it's really exciting to me, involves combining a business called Fabulous Floors, 21 individual locations into one website. It's a powerhouse and it's really unified, and it's going to help them take their business to the next level. This strategic move is designed to increase their domain authority and generate significantly more leads as they scale into a national enterprise business. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, Alpha Key Digital can show you how. If you're ready, visit alphakeydigital.com and book a call with Madison Hewitt. She'd love to talk to you, and we'd love to have you. A special shout out to Dr. Gutman of Cleveland Nutrition. Dr. Gutman is passionate about empowering individuals to take control over their health through personalized nutrition and sustainable lifestyle challenges. Dr. Gutman was on this show, so go back and listen to that episode. He's got great insights into gut health. He's a gastroenterologist, nutrition. It's fantastic. So visit his website, clevelandnutrition.com, to learn more about his exceptional approach to health and wellness. I also want to give a quick shout out to Bill Snow, who introduced me to today's guest. Today's guest is Chris Inman. He's the visionary founder of I.D.E.A Cleveland, a leading video marketing agency dedicated to helping small businesses transform their marketing strategies through impactful video content. Chris specializes in creating strategic video content plans that address the pain points of his clients' ideal audiences, ensuring their message resonates and drives results. As a thought leader and content strategist, Chris is passionate about educating businesses on the power of video and simplifying marketing for companies of all sizes. And boy, is that such a great thing to do in today's climate with video. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for having me.
So great to have you on here. I'm really excited. I want to dive right in. What inspired you to start I.D.E.A Cleveland?
Well, there's a long story there, but ultimately, I started in sports broadcast, didn't want to travel, so I ended up in corporate video. Then I realized that, man, these clients I have, they're spending $100,000 per video. It's amazing. All kinds of cool places I got to go to, people I got to meet, people I got to see. But then I was like, small business owners aren't using video, and they can really leverage it in a way that corporations can't, because they can really speak to their authentic, true self. They can bond with people in a way that large corporations can't. And that's ultimately what large corporations are trying to do. So I created I.D.E.A Cleveland. I went out, I put out my bids, and I realized, holy cow, a $5,000 website video is not what people are looking for. How do you get that return on investment? I was like, man, I went from $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 videos, $5,000 is too expensive. Hold on, I need to recalculate my mindset. Then everyone's least favorite time in our history, recently, COVID. COVID hit. And then all of a sudden, all this technologies, we're here on Zoom having this conversation. That elevated the ability for small business owners to get their message out in ways that no one could ever imagine. There's other technologies out there, Riverside and all, StreamYard, and they're all out there. And all of a sudden I'm watching on LinkedIn, all these people are having these conversations. They're recording them. They're putting them up. They're getting engagement. They're building their personal brands. And I'm like, man, some of them are pretty ugly looking. Not the people, but the shorts themselves. The backgrounds are just black. And I'm like, man, they don't put their logo up. They don't use captions. There's all these things that can make this so much better so they can really get better engagement out of it. So then I decided to create a whole plan of that. How do I create a business that supports people recording their own content, making their own podcasts, making their own YouTube channels, making their own social media videos to get their message out, to build their personal brand? That's ultimately what we do now.
Wow. I mean, that is so relevant and something that I think about all the time too, Chris, because we specialize in SEO and pay-per-click campaigns, but video is so engaging, but it's so easy to not do it effectively. And like I started paying attention to the videos I like to watch and what is it about them that I like. And do you also help small businesses and people write the scripts and look for the hooks, or how do you help them really level up their content?
Yeah, it's amazing to think about AI has helped us all in so many ways. So if you start creating who is your ideal client, who's your favorite clients, who do you want to work with? You start creating, that avatar, as they call it, of your ideal client. So we start digging into that. Then we start creating content that they would enjoy watching. It's not always about like dry conversation. It could be about entertainment as well. I love to use an example here. I have a client, Converted Carts. I just came back from the PGA show with them, and they do a YouTube channel just about people that fix up old golf carts or
Mhm.
buy new golf carts that are low speed vehicles. They're the ones that they have down at like the villages where like 85,000 people are driving around in golf carts instead of driving around their cars. So they have people that like turn them into the Batmobile, turn them into old school looking Broncos, making them lift and making them like monster trucks, all kinds of cool things. People race them even now. So we create content that's entertaining and we
Mhm.
do these interviews. He puts them on his YouTube channel, which ultimately he sponsors. And then it leads to people going to his website to buy new tires, buy the new rims, the upgrades in the touch screens, all these things. And it's a way to connect with your ideal clients in a very engaging, entertaining way. So what I do is we talk about who is your ideal client? How can we get in front of them? How can we do something that's creative and different? And that's what we're trying to create, entertainment. Because
Mhm.
we all, there's 1,000 podcasts out there. There's 1,000 YouTube videos. What really separates you from the pack and
Mhm.
only gets into the niche of the people you want to talk to? We're not trying to like build a giant brand. Who's the golfer? Just say he spent $1 million.
Was it DeChambeau?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
He
Yep.
spent $1 million so far building up his YouTube channel.
Mhm.
You, as a business owner, do not want to spend $1 million to get started.
Right.
But if you get out of your head and you go, hey, I can create some videos, we'll share them, we'll put them on social media, we'll put them on our website, which helps with SEO a little bit.
Mhm.
And let's say I get 50 people to watch. But if one of those 50 people actually call and book a meeting with you, that's a success. That's where marketing is different than trying to create a YouTube channel
Mhm.
just to be your profits.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things where, like you said, like someone like DeChambeau, they're going to throw $1 million into their YouTube and it's working because I've seen his content all over TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and it's working for him. But he's a big brand with a team behind him. And like you mentioned earlier, $100,000 budget for a video, that's not going to be feasible for a small business owner. What would you tell, like, well, what about some of the, types of businesses that feel like they don't have anything interesting to say, like a plumber, a roofer? What kind of content can they put out? Or is it strictly just entertainment, dancing videos and all those
No,
things?
no dancing videos. Let's not do
Okay.
that. Unless you want to try to get the account to start dancing, it's only to go viral. We're not going to make any sales that way. But
Mhm.
what's interesting though is like, let's use a plumber, for example. There's all kinds of tricks like plumbers show up to, and they fix things in 5 minutes. I had a problem with my garbage disposal, for example. It wasn't turning, couldn't figure it out. Well, there's this Allen key in the bottom that you tighten and loosen. The guy came in, took him 5 minutes. He goes, "Hey, did you try this?" I'm like, "I don't even know what that is." He
Mhm.
just plays with this little Allen wrench at the bottom. Boom, it starts working again. Oh man, I paid $125 for a service call for the guy to come in and use an Allen key and fix that. At the
Mhm.
end of the day, the plumber doesn't want to be there for that job either. He's not making any money off of that. He's just booked his day, this and that. So those are the things that somebody like a plumber can put out there, the educational piece.
Mhm.
Now, somebody will say, that's all over the internet. I could look it up on YouTube. That's great. But you as a personal brand and you as the plumber, if you create those type of content, especially in the local level, you're going to be the one that people hire
Mhm.
because you're the one that helped them do it. You're the one that helped them save money. You're the one that gives them the tips and tricks. Hey, my drain's running slow in the shower. What should I use? Should I just go get liquid Drano at Walmart and pour that in? Or what are the levels should I be doing? If you are the person that's helping, they're going to turn back to you. Second, you're a plumber. You probably see some crazy stuff. You probably have opened up the back of someone's shower and it's just mold everywhere. You're like, holy cow, these people's house was destroyed. If only they knew what was going on. Maybe there's some tips and tricks. That kind of stuff goes viral. People are like, oh my God, that's disgusting and all that. And then you start building your personal brand as being the local expert plumber that's there to help and provide a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of education, and that builds your personal brand. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do is build your personal brand with these videos.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it's like you said, it's a win-win because the plumber's going to save time. If someone visits their website, sees that, then they're not going to have to come out and do that job. But it also makes them an authority. And it's something that is so accessible to people because we have these right here, right? We have our phones. What do you tell, because you obviously can't be boots on the ground with everybody all the time. So with some of your clients or with some of the people out there listening, how often should they film? How often should they post? Does it matter anymore? I mean, it used to be like when I first started off in like 2015, Chris, it would be like at Tuesday at 2 p.m. is the best time to post on Facebook, And I feel like those days are over. But what would you tell someone who wanted to know how much to post and when?
Well, the first thing you need to do is figure out where your people are. Where are you going to post? If you are a B2B service provider, you need to be on LinkedIn. If you're a B2C and you're trying, if it's a very visual, like a plumber or something like that, you can actually create some great looking post. Instagram, Facebook. A lot of people are sleeping on X. X is very hard to grow. I agree. But it's been documented that the average user on X has a higher income than any other platform. So if you have a high price service or product, you should go there. Spend a little bit of time, try to develop a following and such. It's worth your weight. Now, if you think about all this, we're talking about things that are free. Free to create an X account. It's free to create the Facebook account. It's free. And so that eliminates so much that it used to be. You used to pay to play just to have the ability to have eyeballs on your content. Now, if you spend a little bit of time and have an effort, you can actually get some free content out there. Now, how often should you post? Well, that's a great question because there's some people that post so often and it's like it actually ruins the algorithm because, especially on LinkedIn, if you post 3 times a day and you're getting 2 likes per post, maybe every once in a while you get someone to make a comment. LinkedIn's algorithm thinks that your content's not valuable. But if you post 3 times a week, which I think that's my challenge to most people, 3 times a week. And I also believe in the 7 a.m. or 7 p.m., not on Friday and not on Monday morning. So if you eliminate those 2 beginning and ends, that's where I've been seeing with my clients and myself the most engagement, the 7th. So if you post 3 times a week and you're getting 15, 20 likes, 4, 5 comments, that generally gets you 1,500 views in general on your post. That's pretty good. If you think about it, to get 1,500 eyes on your content, which at 3 is 4,500 eyes on your content per week. If you just think about that return on investment, you're building your brand, you're getting your stuff out there. So 3 is the number that I would recommend.
That's great practical advice. And I like that, right? It's like 3 times a week, the 7s, that's really great idea. And I will try to utilize that for my own self, and you're totally right about LinkedIn. I mean, you see people post like 3-4 times a day on LinkedIn and it's like, it's too much. Like you're just contributing to the noise. And that kind of leads me to my next question is, I mean, video content is becoming increasingly competitive. It's amazing, with like CapCut and DaVinci Resolve and all these things that have come out, how pro people's content has become, or at least it's leveled up. But what are some of the things that you see people doing that are that screams amateur to you? So like this is not what we want.
So step 1, if you're going to record content on Zoom, such as we are, you need to get one of those services. I use Queso, QUSO. Okay. There's Opus Pro, there's Caption, all these, they're all out there. Pick your favorite. I'm not here to endorse any of them in particular. But the key there is it puts the words on the screen, the open captions. I message people on LinkedIn all the time. You need to have the captions on your videos. Yes, it blows people's mind. Video is king on these social medias, but people have their phones on mute.
Mhm.
So people need to read the content as well. It helps you stop the scroll. You're watching the video, and now you're seeing the captions. The other thing that a lot of people don't think about is the call to action. What do you want these people to do afterwards? So do you want them to subscribe to your newsletter? Do you want them to sign up for a webinar that you're having? Whatever the case might be, pick your call to action. You can add an end tag screen to that video in these programs that we were talking about. And now you're getting those people hopefully to take the next action, which is get into your CRM. People don't figure out how to take people from YouTube, from podcasting, from social media, and actually get them into their CRM.
Mhm.
That's the list that you own. There's a saying, don't build on other people's land. And that's ultimately what you're doing. You're building up a following. This is what happened to all these TikTok people, for example. This is what people believe happened to TikTok people. The ones that are really successful know how to do this already.
Mhm.
But the idea was all these people left TikTok because it got banned and went dark. What happened to all their followers? They're gone. Well, the good ones already know where they went because they sold them merchandise. They got them in webinars. They got them into their CRM to feed them a weekly newsletter or a monthly newsletter, whatever the case might be. And that's what you need to do as a business too. You need to feed them into your system so you own the list. So that's a huge mistake that people make. They don't think about that call to action to get them into their sales cycle because that's ultimately what we're doing. We're
Right.
all on social media to help build our personal brands and make more sales. It's okay. We're allowed to be a little bit of selfish in this way. That's why we're doing it. We'd all rather have a different hobby. We'd all rather spend time with our kids and our wives and our friends and our family. But we devote a little bit of time every day to try to build our personal brands, to build the businesses.
Yeah, and those personal brands are so key. And one, I'm on this group, Chris. It's I think it's called I I can't remember what it's called, but I signed up for some TikTok course, and I went on Facebook, and now there's like 3,000 people in this Facebook group. And when I saw how many people had millions of views per month in this group, were freaking out when the TikTok ban came. And I just asked the question, I'm like, how many of you built your email list up? Because like you said, you're building on rented land if all you have is a following on a platform, and then boom, if it goes dark, what happens? So I think that was a big wake up call for people because I don't know if you agree, but I'd rather have 1,000 followers that are really, really the target follower. They're in my system, they're interested, than 1 million followers with no way to actually turn them into customers. You know what I mean? So like I totally agree with everything that you said there. And it's just like, it's common sense in a lot of ways. But one of the things I didn't hear you say, and I get tripped up on this, is you talked about, captions, making sure there's a call to action. I get caught up in the actual cinematography of it. Am I using LUTs? Is the audio good? All these things. And it's kind of a barrier for me because I'm not a professional video guy.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to someone who wants to, all right, they got the basics down, they got the captions, they got the CTA, they got a CRM and something to offer. What's going to take them to that next level?
So it's so funny. You're talking about like the whole quality and everything. I am sitting here on my Microsoft Surface. That's my camera. I got a Yeti mic
Mhm.
here that I'm using, and I got an earbud in so I can hear you. And I'm going to give a little shout out to Timu. They sell very cheap lights.
Oh,
So
cool.
I set up some lighting here, Timo. I have a black curtain here. I'm actually in my podcast studio in Westlake, Ohio right now, but it's just a black curtain.
Mhm.
You don't need to overthink the technology anymore. People are okay with the background just being a black background. You got a nice blurry background. Your dog was walking around in the background. No one really cares at the end of the day.
Uh-huh.
What they're concentrating on is the conversation. And that's where everyone needs to spend more time on thinking about. What is the conversation? What are we talking about? How are we going to bring value? How are we going to keep people engaged through this whole conversation? We can't go on a tangent, start talking about the Cavs and the Browns right now. We'll lose people because they signed up to listen to what we were going to talk about. We kind of said at the beginning, what I'm supposedly an expert at, which is that whole, that's what I'm trying to do. Promote yourself as an expert at something. And that's what you want to do with your videos. You want to be an expert at something. And when you do that and you give value and you give advice and you help people, that's when people tune in. That's when people are excited to hear you talk about things. You're just giving away content, which ultimately leads to your sales. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to build that yellow brick road to that sales funnel.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. Absolutely. What are your thoughts on going live? YouTube live, going on these channels and doing like mixing it in. So obviously you have your posts, you have your reels, and then going live. I guess my question is, how much do you try to mix up a social media account, or does it not? Is that overthinking it? Can you just put the same type of content out?
So I'm kind of very opinionated about live. This is one where there's, everyone should have these bold opinions about things that makes you stand out. My bold opinion is live is a pain in the butt
Mm,
for the
mm,
person doing it. You jump on LinkedIn Live. You get 4 people watching. Okay, that's great. They maybe ask a question if you're lucky, you engaged, you leave, and it kind of drains you
mhm.
because you're like, man, only 4 people watched. Now, you could have had the same conversation, could have done the exact same thing. You could have made shorts out of it. You could have put on your YouTube channel, put it on your website, and all this stuff. You can even make it gated so people have to give you their email to
Mhm,
be able to watch it. And all of a sudden, you have something you can use for 30, 48, 45 days.
mhm.
And it wasn't that the half hour that you were on. And what happens is people do live, then they go, it just doesn't work. No one's showing up. No one's showing up for webinars. How many webinars are you invited to per week?
Yeah.
It's exhausting. I got to get some work done every once in a while.
Mhm,
And so, but if that was on demand, and most of these webinars could be podcast as well, they could just be audio only. As I'm driving my car, walking my dog, I should be doing more exercising, but when I exercise, I could be listening to these things and getting the equal value. And that's what I want everybody to really think about. If you're going to put an effort out, how are you going to get the most return on investment for that content? And I don't think live offers you the ability to get the most out of that content.
Perfect answer. Perfect answer. Yeah, I think that, like I have a friend, he started a guitar gym on YouTube and he's doing well with it. And it's Joey Arieba for those listening. He'll be on the podcast. He'll be on before Christmas here, so you'll have heard him. But he does a lot of live. I guess it makes sense for him because he's going to be practicing his guitar either way, you know. But yeah, I can see how that would really be, something that's difficult and to scale and to repurpose and to do that. So that's a great
Plus,
tip,
if you decide to take a vacation,
right?
just all this stuff in your life that's always moving and changing. But if you say every Wednesday I'm going to go live at 12:30,
Yeah.
you've locked that into your calendar like you've never blocked anything else in your life.
Yes, and then if yeah, you want to think about that. How scalable is it with your own lifestyle? Do you really want to be a slave to every Wednesday at noon? Without being, if you can hire an assistant or a VA, great. But if it's something that you actually have to be there doing, that really can become a constraint. What are your thoughts on just TikTok in general? Is TikTok something that we should, not focus as much on anymore since it's been banned, or do you think it's a good place? What do you think of TikTok just generally?
So, TikTok, like any other social media platform, is just one of the places for us to get our messages out. You use it when it's available and you take advantage of it. TikTok's available right now again. Now, if you are a B2B person selling to 30 to 50-year-olds, is it worthwhile being on TikTok? I don't know.
Mhm.
But if you're already creating this content, you're putting it on LinkedIn, making a YouTube shorts, you're putting it on your Instagram, what is the harm of reposting it on TikTok? There's no harm. And that's what I try to say is like this whole repurposing, get as much as you can out of it. That I think is more important. Now, you're not building your whole brand on TikTok. Now, if TikTok's your only source of social media, I think you got a problem. because there's people that refuse to go on TikTok. You don't want to get into the debate of it. There's people that refuse to go on X. I mean, that's why I have this discussion with people. It starts becoming these political discussions. Great. You don't want to go on TikTok? Fine. Pick me up on YouTube Shorts. It's all the same at the end of the day. They're watching the same videos. So don't get into the weeds of and then chasing shiny objects either. Like, oh, there's a new thing. I'm going to run over here and do this. That's cool if it's a and. But if it's a but, I'm going to go over and do that, you're making a mistake. You need to just focus on where your ideal clients are. Mine, for example, are on LinkedIn. I spend my effort on LinkedIn. I do post some stuff on TikTok. I do post some shorts on YouTube Shorts. But that's generally just to get the message out because I've already created it. But my effort is on LinkedIn. That's where I put my effort into. And that's what you got to figure out. Where do you want to put most of your effort into? And then the other stuff is just ands.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think of like long form content? Do you find that that's a trend that's going to be? I've heard that it's a trend that this year is going to be, obviously something that is growing. Do you see that? Do you agree with that? And should businesses engage in more longer form type content?
I think the length of the content depends upon the length you can keep it informative, entertaining, engaging. There's a lot of people that I have a 10 to 15-minute podcast that I host, for example. And it's enough. If we kept stretching it on and on and on, we would then lose people. So it's a matter of like, when do I lose people? When am I talking to myself? But long form podcasts are very popular. I happen to listen to Bill Maher. He has one. He has a podcast, and he was just talking about I forget who he had on, but he was debating. They were like, everyone loves short content. He goes, really? Because I get a lot of feedback that my hour-long podcasts are too short. They wish I would dive in deeper with my guests. Now, that's a celebrity interviewing celebrities. But people are okay with it. Joe Rogan seems to ramble on for days, it feels like. People ingest that content. So don't get into the weeds of length. And that's the other thing, but let's say you do go 30 minutes. Let's use this example. I have a client that did a 30-minute podcast. We started looking at the analytics. They lost people about minute 17 on average. Okay, they would do 3 topics in 30 minutes. What do? You make 3 10-minute videos, 3 10-minute episodes. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, they released. The retention rate went up to like 90-something% on each one of those. Now they weren't wasting time on that last 10-minute topic, only talking to a small percentage of people that would finish it out. So long form can turn into short form. It's okay. But the data has to drive everything. Numbers is what's most important in life. Math is the greatest science ever created. If you look at your numbers, you look at your retention, you look at what people like. If the video you have on your YouTube channel gets 20 times more views and 20 times more likes, go back to that topic. Dive deeper into that topic. May branch off from that topic because that obviously is something that people are interested in hearing more about. If nobody's listening to one of your episodes, don't get discouraged. It was just a test. It was 1 week. It's okay. Not everything is going to be a home run. I mean, look at baseball players. It's a game for losers ultimately. But if your podcast is the same way, if you're hitting 300 and 1 out of 3 podcasts are just being home runs and everyone's enjoying them, that's a success.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a great analogy with baseball, and it's really good to remember that not everything's going to be perfect. It's not going to go viral right away if you even need it to, and it's not.
We're doing business podcasts. So not everything can't go viral. Everything's not going to be crazy. But the other thing is, let's say there's a topic. Let's say we talked about AI. All right. And we just talked about AI and how you can use AI on your YouTube channel. All right, cool. If somebody emailed me and said, hey, how do you use AI on your YouTube channel? I can share that link to that episode.
Yes.
And you can use that in your marketing materials in your conversations with people as well. So try to think about all these different angles you can repurpose your business marketing materials.
Yeah, that's great. So I have one last question, Chris, but before I ask it, I want to point people to, your website and how they can get a hold of you. So where can they go to learn more?
IDEACleveland.com.
IDEACleveland.com. And then how about an email? Is there an email they can get
Oh,
over?
Chris@IDEACleveland.com.
Awesome. Easy as that.
Yes, keep it simple.
Keep it very simple. I love it. So I just wanted to ask you, already kind of touched upon it with mentioning Bill Maher, but what is your all-time most favorite podcast, the one that you go back to the most and the one that you really enjoy?
So I don't read, but I enjoy books in the sense of the data that it gets. So there was a podcast, unfortunately stopped. It was the Marketing Book Podcast.
Mhm.
And once a week, the host would read a book, a marketing or sales book, and interview the author. And they would dive into it. And it was amazing because they would talk about like, oh, in this chapter, we talked about this and this and that. And it was able for me to then like, oh, I'll grab the book from the library or I'll find the ebook or whatever the case might be or buy it. And I'm like, okay, I just want to read this chapter and I can dive into it. I always say books are kind of selfish because you can't multitask. You read a book and that's it. Where podcasting is an amazing thing. We can all do it while we're walking our dog, driving our car. There's all these things, doing the dishes, cooking. So that the guy gave me the ability to listen to all kinds of different points of view in marketing and sales. And I loved it. And unfortunately, they stopped it. I'm sure it was super time consuming because the host had to read a book every week. Then he had the schedule. And then I also heard that he would get like thousands of books. As he became more popular, people would just start bombarding him with free books. So that was my favorite podcast to listen to.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Chris Inman, for joining us today and sharing your expertise. I know there's a lot of great insights and just awesome things that I will take to myself and encourage people if they're interested, to reach out to Chris on this video marketing, because I think it really can transform small businesses for sure. If you'd like to learn more about Chris and IDEA Cleveland, or if you really want to take your marketing to the next level with impactful video content, then visit IDEACleveland.com to connect with Chris and his team. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, Chris. Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Alpha Bites. If you found today's insights valuable, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with your network. Let's keep the conversation going. Connect with us on social media or visit us at alphakeydigital.com/alphabites. Remember, the keys to your digital success are just a bite away. See you next time.